has successfully restored properties valued at least 22,280 crores, and I'm only talking of the major cases. We all question about ED. The return and also the money which have been claimed by the ED is this one. Restored properties of 22,280 crores in major cases. And I would like to list the number of cases, sir. Vijay Mallya case, 14,131.6 crore, complete amount of the attached property has been restored to the public sector banks. So there's no way in which I can go on listening to very many members who without the facts go on saying, no, haircut has happened, big people are allowed to take the money, small people are being punished. No way. We've not left anyone. Even if they fled the country, we've gone after them. ED has collected this money and given back to the public sector banks. 14,131.6 crores only from Vijay Mallya. Nirav Modi. Attached properties is what I'm talking about, ma'am. There can still be some more cases, but attached properties and their monies have gone to the public sector banks. And this is the money that is obtained from them. Nirav Modi case, 1,052.58 crores has been restored to the public and private banks. National Spot Exchange Limited, NSEL scam, 17.47 crores have been obtained and given to the banks. SRS Group, which is the SRF Group's Pearl City and Prime projects in Gurugram, 20.15 crores, that is the property restored. Rose Valley, 19.40 crore. Surya Pharmaceutical Limited, 185.13 crore. Novera Sheikh and others, the Hira Group, 226 crore. Amrutesh Reddy, Naidu and others, 12.73 crores. Mehul Choksi and others, 2,565.90 crores have all been taken. And then liquidators in the different Gitanjali group of companies to carry out valuation and auction of the attached or seized properties worth 2,565 crore is also happening. Nafisa Overseas and others, 25.38 crores. Bhushan Power and Steel Limited, Supreme Court ordered restitution of assets worth 4,025 crores to JSW via its December 11 orders. So it is important to recognize, sir, that we have not left anybody in economic offenses. We are after them. We will be making sure that money which has got to go back to the banks will go back. Demands and 3 appropriations. The appropriations include those for the President, the Supreme Court of India, and for the Union Public Service Commission. To make a beginning, I will repeat some of the things which are already mentioned in the supplementary demand for grants, which a copy of which all members have seen. These demands and appropriations, we are seeking the authorization of the Parliament for gross additional expenditure of 87,762.56 crores. The net cash outgo or cash supplementary is about 44,182.87 crores. The technical token supplementaries are also mentioned. Expenditure on capital account is something which I would like to take a minute to say that it is about 19,416.35 crores. The balance of 346.21 crore in the supplementary demand for grants is on the revenue account. So, not going further into the details, yesterday I'm grateful that Honorable Member Jagadambika Palji had gone into the details of what this supplementary demand for grant is all about. where money goes, and why it is justified that this one first supplementary has covered those amounts, and the total is far lesser than what a first supplementary had in the last year. So he had rightly placed the emphasis saying, look at where the money is going. It's going for farmers, it's going for the revenue expenditure of defense, but on farmers' account again, it is going for fertilizers and so on. So without spending more time on the details of those, I'd like to go back to the discussions itself and respond to the members and their seeking clarification so that we focus on the debate straight away. Sir, questions on the economy, Madam, I'm sorry, I keep referring to you as Sir. Madam, there were a lot of interest on the economy related issues. Honorable members have asked questions about what is it about the economy that you can answer. We have got questions to ask. I'll try to address some of them. So Madam, the real growth rate for Q1 and Q2 of this financial year 25 has been 6.7% and 5.4% respectively. At 5.4%, the Q2 rate is slower than expected. Many members observed it, many members commented on it. Many members raised a doubt saying, is growth sustainable at all at the number that we projected in the BE? I'd like to touch upon some of the concerns. So, Q2 of this financial year has been challenging quarter for India and for most other economies of the world. In last 3 years, India's GDP growth rate has averaged 8.3%. This is outstanding. I don't want to judge myself, I don't want to judge the ministry, but this is a number before us, and this is a number which you can see, compare it with the rest of the globe. And this number is an outstanding number by global standards. India has been the fastest growing major economy in the world, and the credit goes to the people of India who are struggling and meeting their aspirations, thereby contributing to the economy, and with the leadership which puts policy up front so that it responds to people and their aspirations as well. So the two wheels have moved adequately in synchrony, as a result of which you see the growth numbers. A different perspective for the same thing is something which I'd like to put before you, Ma'am Chairperson. Out of the 12 quarters in the previous 3 years, GDP growth rate was lower than 5.4%. GDP growth rate was lower than 5.4% in 2 quarters.
Please. And she gets involved.
I'm not able to understand.
Ignore him.
Okay. So out of the 12 quarters in previous 3 years, GDP growth rate was lower than 5.4% in 2 quarters, Q4 of 21-22 and Q3 of 22-23. So it's important to understand that this drop happened just 2 quarters in the last 12 quarters that we're talking about. So let us not sort of pick on that one and predict future. This has been a steady growth and a steady sustained growth. So I'd like to place that perspective with the numbers before me. The regular union budget was passed by the newly constituted Lok Sabha post-parliamentary elections in middle of August 2024. Effectively, the implementation of new announcements of this government commenced after the Appropriation Act was passed by the Parliament in August 2024. Effectively, it is from August that we are starting to give emphasis to many of the things, inclusive of capital expenditure, and therefore we are now talking within 4 months after the full regular budget was presented in August. So the situation is no different from one seen in earlier years when parliament elections were conducted. So that's a very important consideration which I would like the honourable members to take on board. When annual Lok Sabha elections happen, those years do have a certain flow of resources, do have a certain ground-related expenditure happening, and when it picks up, the growth rate also picks up. But the blip is got to be understood in the broader context. So differences in alignments of festivities. This is an important consideration because even countries which have annually a Christmas festival mood or any other festival mood, there is a rise and dip in consumption and expenditure. So between September and October this year, particularly for India, in the previous and current year, created a modest downward bias for the Q2 growth, because I think there was 15 days where people do not spend, and which came very close to also the Dashara vacation when people spend, and as a result, that quarter got affected by good spending fortnight and a not so good spending fortnight, both occurring during that quarter itself. So the government believes that the trend in quarter 2, 24-25 is only a temporary blip, and the economy will see healthy growth in the next quarters. Also, a generalized slowdown in manufacturing is not expected, as it is restricted to few sections only. Out of 23 manufacturing sectors, and this is an important fact that I would like to place for the consideration of honorable members, out of 23 manufacturing sectors in the index of industrial production, about half of them remain strong even now. So we need to put this in context. Capital expenditure of the union government has grown by 6.4% year on year between July-October 2024. So I'm very optimistic about improved performance going further and going forward. This addresses a large section of the MPs who spoke. I named some of them: Shri K.C. Venugopal, Saugata Roy, Anil Desai, N.K. Premchandran, Manish Tiwari, Lalji Verma, Saini Ghosh, Vishal Dada Patil, and Amar Singh. So all of them, different aspects of the economy did raise these points, so I thought I should upfront start with these. There was equally a lot of voice about inflation being very high. This was particularly raised by 4 members who have also raised the previous issues. Retail inflation, madam, declined to 4.8% in 24-25, April to October, compared to 5.4% in 23-24. This is the lowest since COVID-19 pandemic started. Lowest retail inflation. Core inflation, which excludes volatile food and energy prices, remains at 3.6 and is at a decadal low. It's a very important data which we have to take on board. And we in the union government remain committed to better managing of food inflation, where volatility in specific food items is weather driven. Building buffers is one of the key performance which I can place here for members' consideration, particularly in key food items such as cereals, pulses, and distribution of food items like onions, rice, tuvar dal, wheat flour, gram, and so on. So these are happening through designated outlets at subsidized prices. I've spoken before on this. Bharat brand atta and Bharat brand dal is provided in essential commodities at an affordable price. The prices have been very reasonable, that the uptake is also very considerable. Bharat dal is available at 60 rupees per kg for 1 kg pack. Bharat Atta costs 30 rupees per kg and Bharat Rice costs 34 rupees per kg, and they are available through particular outlets. Madam, the discussion again on the inflation is normally taken for the number that is revealed in the latest quarter, but I would again like to put a perspective before honorable members. Most often I've done this, and I think there is merit for us to look at it in this way, because it is important to understand the context and also the perspective to keep it as wide as possible. Madam, 1999 to 2004, headline inflation was controlled at 3.9%. The reason why I'm bringing this is something which I'll explain a bit later, but I'm laying the ground for that inference. Headline inflation was controlled at 3.9% between 1999 and 2004. Between 2004 and 2009, inflation surged to 5.6%, and again, come over, you can compare it with the previous 99 to 2004, which I'm talking about. But when you came to 2009 to 14, it spiraled to 10.2%, representing a catastrophic failure to control rising prices. Come again to 2014 to 24, inflation was brought back to 5.1%. The pattern that is emerging, if you look at it, for the last 25 years nearly, is NDA period times inflation is well under control, whereas non-NDA, particularly UPA, it touches double digit. So let us not forget this pattern when we want to criticize one another about inflation and inflation control. Right. Thank you. Thank you. You can be similarly introspecting on the impact of COVID and the wars which are happening now. Thank you. Food inflation, madam, similarly. Food inflation was a modest 2.2 during 1999-2004. 2004 to 9, it reached 6.5. 2009 to 14, it reached 11%. And 14 to 24, it's back to 5.3%. So the pattern is consistent. 25 years, you split it between UPA or non-NDA and NDA, you see inflation is better controlled under NDA regimes. Madam, Honorable Member Manish Tiwari, I can't see him here, but I would like to respond to him, was talking about fuel inflation. I quite appreciate his concern, because this can affect poorer families as well. I want to place the data before. Under UPA 2, the fuel inflation was 8.9% compared to the 10 years between 2014 to 24, which is at 4.4%. But I just want to highlight the fact for Honorable Member Manish Tiwari's question. He talked about the LPG cylinder, and I'm sure this is something which most members will be interested in knowing about. Under the Congress, LPG cylinders were a privileged and scarce commodity. Before April 2014, nearly 45% of the Indian households didn't have access to clean cooking fuel. In contrast, madam, LPG coverage under the NDA has reached near saturation. Total domestic active LPG customers have more than doubled from 14.52 crore in April 2014 to 32.65 crores as of June 2024. Madam, an approximation, I'm not giving an exact number, it is expected, or approximation is, there are 33 crore households in this country, approximate, and 32.65 crore have got LPG cylinder connection. Near saturation in making sure gas cylinders reach every household. So I must credit the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas for having taken this distribution of LPG to households. Since after Ujjwala came in, we have made sure that many of those families which gave up the extra cylinder on Honorable PM's nudge that he gave, saying, please, those who don't need the subsidy, give it up. Many people gave it up. But Ujjwala grew as much as also the others who don't need Ujjwala. So total saturation is 32.65 crores. And from among this number, 10.33 crore Ujjwala beneficiaries also are there. So this 32.65 crores includes Ujjwala 10.33 crores. Ujjwala 14.2 kg LPG cylinders, 14.2 kg, the weight of the cylinder, is given at an effective price of 503 rupees per cylinder. I want to highlight the fact that if we are to compare India with its immediate neighborhood, you will know that India's LPG cylinders is very reasonably priced for the Ujjwala consumers that I'm talking about. Ma'am, the neighboring countries, as of 1st November 2024, the prices are like this. Nepal, it is 1,209.21 rupees. And I'm saying it in INR, Indian rupees. Sri Lanka, it is 1,211.24 rupees. Pakistan, it is at 1,095.41 rupees. And for Ujjwala customers, it is in India 503 rupees only. And immediate question would be, what about those non-Ujjwala? Because it's an essential thing for a household. Effective price of non-Ujjwala consumers, and I'm talking about New Delhi, is 803 rupees. So I want a clear appreciation of the fact, appreciation not so much for appreciating, but for recognition of the fact that compared to the neighborhood, India's LPG prices, even for non-Ujjwala, is far lesser than what it is like in our neighborhood. Manish Tiwari, member at translation, but that was essentially for his particular question. Madam, there were concerns expressed also about unemployment being very high. Several members raised questions on it, and I highlight some of the facts. The All India annual unemployment rate has been declining according to the periodic labor force survey report. Beginning 2017-18, it's been falling from 6.0% in 17-18 to 3.2% in 23-24. Unemployment rate was 6% in 2017-18. Today it has come down to 3.2%. And this is accompanied by a rise in the labor force participation ratio and worker to population ratio figures as well. A very important factor is the gender component, madam. The female labor force participation rate has been on the rise for the past 6 years, from 24.5% in 2018-19 to 41.7% in 23-24, and we'll be glad to know that this is largely driven by rising participation of rural women into the labor force. So this is a very noteworthy transformation that we are seeing. I would like to put it before you, Honorable Chairperson. According to the latest payroll data of the EPFO, cumulative net addition of EPF subscribers, which very clearly shows the formal employment. So cumulative net addition of EPF subscribers touched 91.1 lakh in first half of this year, that is 24-25. which is nearly 29% higher than the cumulative net additions of 70.5 lakhs in the same period last year. So it's an important, and we are clearly talking about the net addition. It's not the numbers who have gone, we've ignored it or anything like that. We are talking about net addition. Nearly 2/3 of the new subscribers in the EPFO payroll have been from the 18 to 28 years band. So for all of us who rightly have concerns about the youth of India, I would like to show this figure that the net addition to the EPF subscriber numbers has 2/3 of them coming from those in the age group of 18 to 28. So the youth of India are coming on board and getting into EPF related registers. Madam, there was also concern and lot of discussion about the procedure not being followed in sanction of contingency fund advance. I think it was member N.K. Premachandranji who raised this point. I'd like to respond to him because I think he highlighted, I appreciate the fact that N.K. Premachandranji gets into a lot of granular details of the budget and also of the financial rules. Here he quotes, or I quote, he said, the procedure given in para 5 of delegation of financial powers rule regarding laying statement by ministers for giving contingency fund advance is not followed. That was his concern. I'd like to remind member N.K. Premachandranji that the procedural issue which you raised about withdrawals of contingency fund, an advance of 100 crores given to MNRE for the PM Surya Ghar. Am I right? Based on the request of the ministry, contingency fund advances are normally given to various ministries, and in this case, the contingency fund advance of 100 crore was sanctioned on 4th October 2024 at a time when the parliament was not in session. This amount is being recouped, and that you see in the supplementary demand for grants through the supplementary demand which we have placed now. So Ministry of Finance does not normally permit consolidated fund advances when parliament session is underway. In the instant case that he is referring to, Finance Ministry has not issued the sanction during the parliament session. I would just like to mention it very clearly for Sri N.K. Premachandran's consideration. If at all withdrawals of CF advance has happened by any ministry, the minister concerned is required by rule to lay a paper in the House. So, and that's the extent procedure. Madam, similarly, I think it was one of the members, if I'm right, Lalji Vermaji, who had mentioned that this supplementary demand for grant is being presented within 1 month of the budget. I'm not sure if Lalji Vermaji is here. This is the first batch of supplementary demand for grants. And even as I opened my statement, I said the regular budget in this election year was presented in July. Now we are into December. We are several months away from July, not one. So that statement unfortunately doesn't seem to be correct, madam. This has been reduced, the supplementary demand for grant, this one being the first one. I would like to definitely place on record that we have kept the supplementary demand for grants. Normally 3 are permitted. We've tried keeping it within 2 and never moving to the 3rd, except for 1 year when the 3rd also had to happen. So supplementary demand for grants are not too many, not too frequent, and doesn't happen for simple, small reasons. So I want to leave the data behind that this is the first one. And the amount, in fact, some of the honorable members, I'm very grateful, mentioned about it, that this time the supplementary demand amount itself is far lesser than last time, showing greater accuracy in the BE stage itself of budget making. So there is a greater absolute targeting of what is the budget estimate got to be, and there is not, therefore, much of a requirement to come with huge supplementary demands, and not too many of them as well. Ma'am, there's been a concern about sustaining growth. I broadly spoke about the growth and growth-related figures earlier. But what are the specific steps that the government has taken to push and to sustain growth was one of the questions. As much as private sector investment slowdown and more investment on infrastructure have all been points on which a lot of members have raised their concerns. I'd like to broadly say that even at the beginning we said there has been considerable emphasis on capital expenditure. Repeated every year, our capital expenditure amounts are only growing, not in just actual numbers, in percentages as well. That this year we allocated 11.11 lakh crores for capital expenditure. If we understand that together with the amounts that we've given to the state, this year particularly, we have given 1.50 lakh crores to the states as interest-free 50-year loan for capital assistance. If effective capital expenditure of the union government is taken on board, and what is the effective capital expenditure, madam? Includes budgeted capital outlay and grants and aid for capital creation. If these two are put together, you get the effective capital expenditure figure. And while 11.11 lakh crores is the capital expenditure announced in the BE, effective capital expenditure inclusive of our capital assistance to the states, interest-free, it is pegged at 15.02 lakh crores, madam. One of the highest in Government of India's history. This is the amount we are giving for capital expenditure, which has given a big role also for the states to build their capital expenditure account. And as a result, I think steps that we are taking to push for growth and to sustain growth are going through this route of capital expenditure, so that the multiplier effect, which will spread through the economy and therefore give a greater traction and multiplier effect to the economy itself, will be bigger. Because I think we've spoken about this as well, which I'd like to emphasize again, that for every rupee spent on capital account, the multiplier effect that you get touches even 3.48, sometimes 4.3. That is the kind of multiplier you get when you spend on capital account. Whereas if you spend on revenue account, for every 1 rupee, you would get only 0.98, less than 2 paise, less than 100 paise, which is 1 rupee. So that is not going to benefit if we just spent money or put money in the hands of the people, promote immediate consumption so that people can go out in the market and buy the essentials. They are important. But the multiplier that gives is far lesser than the multiplier that you would gain when people are given in-situ jobs, because projects are running, capital assets are being built. We have gone through that route, and this time the effective capital expenditure of the Government of India is at 15.02 lakh crores. What are the expenditure on which this amount is getting spent? Regional connectivity, robust highways, railways, coastal shipping, digital infrastructure, and multimodal logistics are areas in which we are spending this money, and also addressing skill deficit through package of 5 schemes which we have announced in this budget itself. And these have given results. So it's not as if I've spent the money, we don't know what is the outcome. The results are there for everyone to see. Increase in gross fixed capital formation to 30.8% of the GDP in 23-24, compared to an average of 28.9% between 2014-15 and 2018-19, pre-pandemic years. So pre-pandemic years, you had 28.9 gross fixed capital formation, whereas now it's gone up to 30.8%. Also, private investment by non-financial firms, about 3,200 firms, an independent research looked into it and said 11.6% is the growth in private investment by non-financial firms. That itself will explain. I'm talking not about the banks, not talking about the NBFCs, but other firms which are in the private sector. An improvement in the ranking of the World Bank Logistics Performance Index from 54th place where we were in 2014 to 38th place in 2023 to 44th place in 2018 and to 22nd place in 2023, particularly under international shipments category. Ma'am, you probably are aware that in every session of the budget, we have questions on tax devolution to opposition-ruled states, and that they have been reduced, particularly for Kerala, Karnataka and Himachal Pradesh. Shri K.C. Venugopalji asked about it. I'd like to again, like the way I do in every session, again answer this question. Tax devolution to states is based on the formulation and the recommendation given by the Finance Commission. Within first 45 months of the 15th Finance Commission, the current Finance Commission, the tax devolution to these states is more than the total tax devolved to these states in the entire period of the 14th Finance Commission. Entire period of the 14th Finance Commission, 5 full years, and you can take 45 months of the current Finance Commission, which is just about 4 years and about a couple of months, 3 months. I'm going by state, madam. Karnataka during the 14th Finance Commission, which is like between 2014 and 2019, had 1,35,044 crores devolved to it. And within the 45 months of the current Finance Commission, they have received 1,41,937 crores. Already much more than the entire five-year period of the previous Finance Commission. Himachal Pradesh received 20,830 crores during the 14th Finance Commission's entire period, whereas what they've received in the first 45 months of the current Finance Commission is 32,087 crores. Kerala, 71,713 crores during the earlier Finance Commission during its entire period, whereas in the 15th Finance Commission, which is the current Finance Commission, and in the first 45 months, 75,171 crores. So, no question, madam, on time, much more is what is being devolved to all states, and there is no difference between which state is ruled by which party. Everybody gets what their due is, and that's the principle with which Prime Minister Modi guides me, and that's what we do. Sir, slow pace of expenditure from the budget 24-25 is another question which N.K. Premchandranji asked. Union budget, the regular one for 24-25 was passed by the newly constituted Lok Sabha post-parliamentary election in August. And I've already explained that subsequently when the monies went to the state and when states got onto the ground to do their expenditure, almost 2 quarters were delayed. So this situation is broadly similar to all other election year. However, the total expenditure up to October 24 was 24.74 lakh crores. October 24. This is 51.3% of BE, which is broadly similar to pace of expenditure in up to October 2023. So it's not slow since after the second quarter.
Madam, I fully appreciate the expenditure made by the government during the 6 months, 51.3% of the total expenditure, more than that of the total budget allocation. My point was the most labor industry sector, that is the MSME, the budget outlay was 22,137.95 crores. There is a revised outlay. I can't understand what is its revised outlay at this juncture. And further, the expenditure till 12/1/2024, it is 992 crores. That means just lower than 15%. When the total expenditure is more than 51.3%, how in the MSME sector alone it is come just less than 15%? That was my question I have raised.
Madam, I'm thankful to Honorable Member for giving that clarification. I want to be sure that I don't repeat, but I would like to emphasize on the point that this budget gave particular 5 different schemes to enable the MSMEs to have greater liquidity in their hand, greater access to credit, and like never before, and I say this in particular, MSMEs only had working capital given to them. Our government has now made a provision for them to also have term loans for doing their business, which means they can take the loan from the bank and invest in plant and machinery. But they are, after all, small firms. They will not have huge collaterals to offer. They won't have security to give. So I'm grateful to the Honorable Prime Minister, who very clearly said, if we gave assistance for the small traders on the street, Swanidhi, we gave assistance for women and small people who are doing their business, PM Mudra, all of them are sovereign guaranteed, collateral free. Similarly, for the term loan that we are giving to the MSMEs, we are provided for sovereign guarantee. For the first time in this country, so Honorable Member Prem Chandran be informed on this, that MSME never had that provision in all free India, 1947 onwards, for a term loan and a sovereign guaranteed term loan. We have given that this time. But on the specific point of why it is not spent or why it is not acquiring that much of within this year traction, the same is the case. If the budget was passed in July and the department has to do it all in the ground within the next 4 months, it will have its own difficulties. But that's not to say this program will not continue. It will continue with the same gusto. So I want the fact that this year has a peculiarity, vote on account, a regular budget in July, and after which, when expenditure has to happen in all sectors with the same speed, some ministries do take the time. I'm going around visiting MSMEs clusters, establishing SIDBI branches there, asking SIDBI to give more loans to the MSMEs under the newly designed post the regular budget schemes. So I appreciate your concern on MSME, but it's not being brought down. Madam, like always, every session, you're from West Bengal yourself, ma'am. And I've heard Professor Saugata Roy interrupting to say, would you also speak on this? I'm speaking now. West Bengal has been deprived of funds from central government under Manrega and PM Awas scheme was raised by Professor Saugata Roy and Miss Sayani Ghosh. I'm not sure if she's here. He's here, but ma'am, member Saini Ghosh is not there. But,
No one.
yes, ma'am, I'd like to, through you, put the facts before. Like every year, every other year, the state PMLA Gramin, Awas Yojana Gramin, was being implemented in West Bengal since 2016-17. The government has also released 25,798 crore as central share to the state since 2016-17. However, complaints of irregularities in the implementation of PMLA Gramin, including a selection of ineligible households from the Awas Plus 2018 list, removal of eligible households, and renaming of the scheme in the state as Bangla Awas Yojana have been received. The ministry has sought action taken report from the state government. Similarly, ma'am, and again, I've said this even earlier in very many different sessions, for under the Manrega, complaints of misappropriation of funds have been received by the government. Upon inquiry by central teams, the complaints were proven to be correct. And madam, I may add, the central team was accompanied by the state team as well when they went on inspection. They were proven incorrect. The complaints were proven correct and not following the rule was clearly established. Department of the Rural Development Department had sought latest status of action taken report. Now the state government has submitted the ATRs which are being examined by the Ministry of Rural Development. That's the current position, ma'am, on the question which Professor Saugata Roy has raised. Yeah, please.
What I want to suggest or what I want to submit, if any corruption happens in any part of the state, total amount of money, why it is being kept stopped, where possibility of inquiries appears, central team, state team jointly detected any area, stop sending money over there. But for few places or for one or two places, you are blocking the total money. What would be my suggestion, what would be my request to you, to release the amount to the particular state who have due from the center more than 1 lakh crore of rupees as a whole. So would you kindly take up these two issues, Manrega and Awas Yojana? I also want to request you, wherever corruptions reports are there, block money over there. But don't stop the full money for so many as a whole for the total state.
But haven't we stopped it on that ground only now?
Yes. Please, Honorable Member.
Ma'am, Chairperson, the Honorable Member is putting forth a suggestion, saying stop it where the corruption has happened, don't stop entirely. We've not stopped entirely for all over the country. We've stopped where the corruption has happened. उनके सुझाव है कि मैं पूरे देश में रोकना नहीं है, जहां करप्शन हो रहा है वहां रोकने के लिए मैं वही तो कर रही हूं। बंगाल में करप्शन हुआ, उसको रोकूं। मैंने गलत समझा है क्या? हाँ जी, आपके ओन स्टेट के विषय में ही मैं बोल रही हूं ना। यू वांट इंग्लिश और यू वांट माई टूटा फूटा हिंदी? Oh, you're saying in the state of Bengal, जहां करप्शन हुआ वहां ना देना, बाकी जगह पर देना। ये मैं कैसे तय करूं जी? मैं कैसे तय करूं? Madam Chairperson, even when I don't stop, even when I don't delay, Even when I give an advance payment of, when I have to give 1 month, I'm giving 2 months, I'm accused of differential treatment to different states. अरे corruption हुआ, ये साबित हो गया है, और सेंट्रल टीम और स्टेट में टीम भी साथ में गए हैं, और उधर पेमेंट का रिक्लेम करो, ऐसे आदेश मिलने के बाद रिक्लेम ना करते हुए दोबारा ट्रेशरी से ही उसको भरपाई कर रहे हैं, मतलब करप्शन हुआ। उसके बाद मैं कैसे डिफरेंशिएट करूं? पूर्व मेदिनीपुर में नहीं हुआ, नॉर्थ बंगाल में हुआ नहीं, साउथ परगाना 24 परगाने में, मैं कैसे तय करूं? मैं कैसे तय करूं मैडम? और तय भी करूं, किसको मान्यता होगा? बंगाल चुपचाप अगर मानते हैं तो भी बाकी स्टेट्स मुझके ऊपर को गुस्सा नहीं करेंगे? ये आप कौन होते हो करने के लिए? सो पूरे इसको साफ करने के लिए मैं आपके द्वारा रिक्वेस्ट कर रही हूं, बंगाल गवर्नमेंट को साफ करो भाई। फिर आते हम, जितना भी प्रश्न उठाया गया उसको स्पष्टीकरण दो, एक्शन में दिखाओ, फिर कौन रोकने वाले हैं? आपके पैसा बिल्कुल देंगे, आपके पैसे देंगे।
दिन तक आप ये करेंगे, आपका जो पर्पस टू मेक योर पार्टी मोर इन्फ्लुएंस in the state, it will never happen. Result will always be 6-0. Give money to the state. Poor people, hungry people are hungry. People are crying for hunger. So take care. I repeat you. I request you with folded hand. सारे टाका, all money being kept detained. It cannot happen for a particular state.
Madam Chairperson, I fully appreciate the concern. Our intention is not to put anybody to difficulty. But strictly, if you allow me 1 minute of indulgence, for the political observation which honorable member has made, आप जब तक ये करते रहोगे आपका सीट नहीं मिलेगा बंगाल में, मान लो ये सच है, फिर आपको क्या दिक्कत हो रही है भाई? खुश रहो, पूरे जीतो, पूरे आराम से बैठो ना। हो रही है दिक्कत, जनता देख रही है, गरीब के पैसा किसके हाथ में जा रहे, पार्टी वर्कर्स में हाथ में जा रहे, ये अभी खुलासा हो गया है, इसीलिए दिक्कत हो रही है उधर, इसीलिए दिक्कत हो रही है। और जब हम उसके लिए तैयार हैं, आते हैं स्टेट में, आपके टीम के साथ ही जाते हैं, अकेला नहीं जाते हैं, आपके टीम साथ में रहने के बाद भी दिखता है कि घपला हुआ, उसको सही करने के लिए मौका भी देते हैं, फिर भी आप यही राजनीतिक भाषा बोलते हो, नहीं जब तक ये करोगे बीजेपी नहीं आए। नहीं जी, देश अच्छा होना है, मोदी जी का संकेत यही है, अच्छा करप्शन रहित गरीब को जो पैसा मिलना है वो मिलना चाहिए। जहां घपला होते हैं हम साथ नहीं रहने वाले हैं।
एक का ही है, नहीं सर अभी बैठ गई है, उनको सुन रही है, आपने परमिशन नहीं दी वैसे ही।
I agree on that. Center and state will have to work together. I agree on that. Honorable Chairman sir, Speaker sir, मैं सिर्फ 2 विषय स्पष्टीकरण दे देती हूँ, क्योंकि मेंबर देवेंद्र यादव जी दिखाई नहीं दे रहे, मगर वो एक इम्पॉर्टेंट प्रश्न पूछे, और वैसे ही सुप्रिया सूले जी भी पूछे। हाँ, all right, yeah, I'm coming, I'm trying to answer as much as possible. Sorry. ऑनरेबल स्पीकर सर, मैं सिर्फ ये बोलना चाहती हूँ कि एक माइल पोस्ट रखते हैं प्रोफेसर सौगता रॉय डिस्टर्बेंस करने के लिए, ठीक है, आदत हो गए हैं हम सबको। फिर एक विषय उठाते हैं उसको मैं पूरे विवरण के साथ जवाब दे दी। अभी दूसरे मेल पोस्ट, सिर्फ इनको ही मैं अटेंड करते रहना चाहिए, बस कोई और का जवाब देना नहीं। सो ठीक है सर, ब्लैक मनी के ऊपर सुप्रिया जी और देवेंद्र यादव जी ने प्रश्न उठाया, सॉरी धर्मेंद्र यादव जी ने। इसमें बहुत सारे स्टेप्स सरकार ने उठाए। Action has been taken on very many unaccounted, undisclosed foreign assets. मैं 3 कैटेगरी में उसको लगा रही हूँ। इन्वेस्टिगेशन ऑफ HSBC, ICIJ, Panama, Paradise, Pandora leak related cases. In connection with all this, information has been received through various leaks like Panama paper leaks, Paradise paper leaks, Pandora papers leaks, HSBC, ICIJ. Intrusive actions were taken in 120 cases. Further, undisclosed income of 33,393 crores have been detected under the 582 cases which have been taken up. A multi-agency group consisting of representatives from various enforcement agencies, organizations has been taken up by the government for expeditious and coordinated investigation of various categories of foreign assets such as Panama paper leak, Paradise and Pandora. The second which I want to highlight, sir, is the constitution of the SIT on black money. The government, of course, has constituted a special investigation team, and that's working from 2014. Meetings of the SITs are regularly taken up, and action taken report is also reviewed. Particularly, cases involving undisclosed foreign assets and income have really been monitored. Enactment of Black Money Act 2015. The government enacted a comprehensive and stringent new law, namely the Black Money Undisclosed Foreign Income and Assets and Imposition of Tax Act 2015 that has come into force from 2015 July. The salient features of this Black Money Act, sir, are 30% of taxes imposed on any undisclosed foreign income or foreign assets, and an additional amount, a penalty of 90%, 3 times the amount of the tax is also imposed on them. Penalty for failure to furnish returns or undisclosed or inaccurate details of foreign assets are also levied. A penalty of 10 lakhs is levied, and so on. Then there is a lot of through the court action. For the effective administration of the Black Money Act 2015, sir, the creation of a foreign asset investigation unit has been established. 29 foreign assets investigation units are set up under the Directors General of Income Tax Investigation all across the country. Proceedings under the Black Money Act 2015 as of June 2024 in about 697 cases, raising a demand of more than 17,520 crores that's been raised. 163 prosecutions have been launched. Foreign asset schedule has been issued in the ITR. Then number of taxpayers disclosing, this is a very interesting information, sir. Number of taxpayers disclosing foreign assets were 60,467 in the year 21-22. Now it is 2 lakh taxpayers in 24-25. The Black Money Act is actually having a deterrent effect on a lot of taxpayers that today they come forward on their own to disclose their foreign assets. Sir, very important data is 82 cases till 30 June have been referred to the ED under the PMLA Act. 82 cases. Sir, specific numbers were asked. Total tax collected under the BMA, Black Money Act, in crores of rupees is 2,655 crores as of June 2024. Total money raised under the Black Money Act. Number of cases in which assessments have been passed are 697. Demand raised 17,520 crores. Number of cases in which penalty has been levied, 341 cases. Penalty levied in crores, 9,971.47 crores. Prosecution launched, 163. Number of cases where assessment is pending, 531. Number of cases where penalty initiated and pending, 532. So these are the actual figures to show that the PMLA and the Black Money Act are actually giving their due returns of the taxpayer money which is got to be obtained for the sake of the country. On the PMLA, sir, on the PMLA, ma'am, sir, the Honorable Speaker, sir, ED has successfully restored properties valued at least 22,280 crores, and I'm only talking of the major cases. We all question about ED. The return and also the money which have been claimed by the ED is this one. Restored properties of 22,280 crores in major cases. And I would like to list the number of cases, sir. Vijay Mallya case, 14,131.6 crore, complete amount of the attached property has been restored to the public sector banks. So there's no way in which I can go on listening to very many members who without the facts go on saying, no, haircut has happened, big people are allowed to take the money, small people are being punished. No way. We've not left anyone. Even if they fled the country, we've gone after them. ED has collected this money and given back to the public sector banks. 14,131.6 crores only from Vijay Mallya. Nirav Modi. Attached properties is what I'm talking about, ma'am. There can still be some more cases, but attached properties and their monies have gone to the public sector banks. And this is the money that is obtained from them. Nirav Modi case, 1,052.58 crores has been restored to the public and private banks. National Spot Exchange Limited, NSEL scam, 17.47 crores have been obtained and given to the banks. SRS Group, which is the SRF Group's Pearl City and Prime projects in Gurugram, 20.15 crores, that is the property restored. Rose Valley, 19.40 crore. Surya Pharmaceutical Limited, 185.13 crore. Novera Sheikh and others, the Hira Group, 226 crore. Amrutesh Reddy, Naidu and others, 12.73 crores. Mehul Choksi and others, 2,565.90 crores have all been taken. And then liquidators in the different Gitanjali group of companies to carry out valuation and auction of the attached or seized properties worth 2,565 crore is also happening. Nafisa Overseas and others, 25.38 crores. Bhushan Power and Steel Limited, Supreme Court ordered restitution of assets worth 4,025 crores to JSW via its December 11 orders. So it is important to recognize, sir, that we have not left anybody in economic offenses. We are after them. We will be making sure that money which has got to go back to the banks will go back.